G'day fellas, and welcome to a different video. In this video, we're going to be dissecting how good the new English units are. So, we're going to be we're going to be sitting back, we're going to be relaxing, we're going to be cracking open a cold brew right now, and that is absolutely delicious. It is time for us to explore the new English units. We've got the ability now to actually make them, so we're going to do that. Let's dive in and take a look. So we're going to start just by aging up. We'll get our memes out. We'll get our dreams out. Let's get the White Tower, seeing as it got a nice little buff. And we'll get our Wynguard Palace out. And we're going to look to make... And we've got cheats turned on. So that's why everything's just coming up very quickly. Actually, you know what? I'm going to move that bad boy, these bad boys over here, because our thumbnail needs to be right here. So there's the first set of units. All right, so let's take a look at their stats and let's compare them. So these are the brand new English units called the Rangers, the Wynguard Rangers, and they're produced. Let's turn Inner Jiffy off. So they're produced every minute. You can make them, and all up they cost 450 wood and 250 gold. And you get 6 of them. So we can see that they're master longbowmen with increased range and damage. Good versus unarmored units. They have a long range. They can construct palings to fend off cavalry charges. They've got slow movement and they are countered by horsemen. Exactly the same as a longbow. So what are their stats? Well, let's have a look at a base longbowman just to get an idea. We've got 70 health, 6 attack, and a range of 7. Compare that over to our what are they called? Wynguard Ranger. Our Wynguard Ranger. And we've got 110 health, 10 attack, and 9 tiles of range. So they can shoot much further as well. So you've got 7 range versus 9 range, which is quite a big bit of range, but I think the question is going to be whether or not it's worth it. Now, upgrades are also included on this as far as I'm aware. So we can see right now that there's no incendiary arrows, whereas if we go and drop our university, and then we get incendiary arrows, oh, that's without Inner Jiffy. Let's put Inner Jiffy on. There we go. We get incendiary arrows. Now we're actually going to be able to fire. And they pick up the incendiary arrows. And we took him down! No! Not Sean. Not Sean the sheep. So they get all the same, or they get all the upgrades as you would expect. But it's important to remember that they've also got a larger attack pool, which means that they're more affected by things like that extra damage from the incendiary arrows. So we can see it goes up to a total of 16 bow damage. Now, I wonder if I build an archery range and I get my upgrades, whether that's going to upgrade the Wynguard Ranger as well. Let's take a look. Doesn't look like it. So let's compare a fully upgraded elite longbowman against a Wynguard Ranger. So I've got my Wynguard Ranger, 110 health, 16 damage with +8 versus light melee infantry and 9 tiles of range. Pretty much the same. I mean, there's the arm, like the damage is almost the same. 16 versus 14. Health is almost the same, only 15 points of difference. The main difference comes in at the tile, or the tiles of range, and it's 9 tiles of range. Which, to be honest, it's good, but it's like, is it 450 wood and 250 gold good? I don't think so. I don't think so. I tell you what, these units, to me, they seem underwhelming. I will say that much. Look, who knows? Maybe there's some super lame, overpowered strategy where we get this unit and it's just busted as all hell. But it's going to be a while before we see that. Let's delete these, though. Let's talk about the other new unit that is also available to the English. And it is going to be the men-at-arms counterpart. So it's going to be this bad boy right here. The Wynguard Footmen produces an army of 6 Wynguard Footmen. We can see they've got they look like they've got the two-handed axe upgrade that the Holy Roman Empire get. Let's pull the men-at-arm out just to have a look. And so these guys equally take like a minute to train. Very expensive on the gold. Let's have a look at their base stats, or their stats. So we've got 190 health, 3 armor, melee, 5 ranged armor, and 20 attack. And it's an axe, so two-handed axe. And they get +5 versus cavalry. Now, it does also say... Oh, so that's their charge. So they've got a charge, and they've got... I don't know how to tell which one's the charge, because one of them's got I think the bottom one is the charge and the top one is just the normal attack. They should probably clarify which one's a charge and which one isn't. But the stats already, to me, don't look anything too crazy. Let's upgrade this man-at-arms. Let's get him up there. Early. Veteran. Elite. He's on 180 health. 5 armor. Melee. 5 armor ranged. 14 attack. Compared to the 190 health. So 180 versus 190. 3 and 5. The only difference here is the attack. These guys have got a small bonus against cavalry. These guys don't have any bonus at all. Now we also pick up Elite Army Tactics, which is going to give them a bit more health and a bit more armor. Or rather, a bit more attack, rather. And this is where it starts to get a bit more obvious. So we're now 25 attack, or 24 attack versus 17 attack. But, hold on a minute. Let's get those blacksmith upgrades. Melee, melee, melee. And now we've got 20 attack against 28 attack. And that's 33 attack against cavalry. Now we're starting... This is... Wynguard Footman's looking a little bit better than the Ranger. That is definitely the case. My main concern is the armor. Now, if we get armor cladding, is this going to increase the armor of both of these units, or is it just going to increase one? So we can see right there, +2s, and it does affect both of them. So the Wynguard Footman is affected by both. And then, of course, we pick up the final upgrades, which are the armor upgrades, and we can see the final stats for this unit. They're going to be pretty beefy. 8 melee armor, 10 ranged armor, with 28 damage. And compare that to the normal men-at-arms, it's a lot more damage, and they're quite a tanky unit. I mean, they're basically the same tankiness as a men-at-arms. But I think the question is going to be, obviously there's an opportunity cost here. If you take a look at this landmark, you want to be using it with 100% uptime. That means that you want units in the queue non-stop. Now, if you decide, because you like men-at-arms, that you want to make Wynguard Footmen, that's fine. But what are you missing out on? Well, obviously you're missing out on Wynguard Rangers, and to be honest, you're not really missing out on much, so don't shed a tear for that. But you would also be missing out on the Wynguard Army, which produces 2 spearmen, 2 crossbows, and a trebuchet. And this is a great combination of units, mainly just because of the trebuchet. The trebuchet is great. The English trebuchet's got a lot of things going for it. If we take a look at the English trebuchet and just how many bonuses it gets, let's just cancel these so we don't get 1,000 units popping out. But just to drive home this point as to how good the English treb is. Here's your base English trebuchet, okay? All right, so 50 damage, 450 versus a building, yada, 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 yada. And now on top of that, you throw on geometry, which gives you an extra 20%. So now our trebs do more damage, an extra 10. We also get shattering projectiles, which increases the AoE that they do. So when this little bad boy fires down over here, let's move him over there. He's going to do a specific amount of AoE. But once we research this technology, which is unique to the English, he's now going to do a larger area of effect on that boulder, which makes him... Excuse me, sir. Excuse me, sir. Sir, please. Which makes it the area larger, so he's doing more damage to units that are clumped up together. So that's a really good bonus. But on top of that, there's also another bonus, which is the outpost, providing the network of castles bonus, or a town center as well. Now, of course, we need an enemy unit nearby to be providing it. We don't have that right here. So that's important to note. But it's going to be extra attack speed that's coming through. And obviously we want to drop a keep down so that we can upgrade that from network of castles to network of citadels, which is going to increase it from 15 to 40%, it says now. Not 15 to 30%. I don't know who to believe. I don't know what to believe. But network of citadels is now researched as well, so even more attack speed. So English trebs are just insanely good, and obviously there's more upgrades that you can get as well. Siege Works, which is going to increase the health of the trebuchet as well, give it a little bit more armor, and of course let's not forget about the most important one, which is this one right here, Greased Axles, just to get a little bit more movement speed. But the point is that the English trebuchet is very, very good, and now on top of that, you can also get trebuchets that come out every minute for almost free, when you think about it, right? Like, you're paying 100 wood, 100 food, and 200 gold. That's 400 resources. And the food, that's not real money, because you have so many farms set up, you don't care about your food. So cross that off the list. It's 100 wood, 200 gold. How much does a treb cost? It's 500 wood at 250 gold. So you're getting a 400 wood discount, a 50 gold discount, and you're getting 4 free units to come along with it. This is an insanely good army. I love this because it also plays into the English strengths that we've already talked about, but it allows you to have a slow push and also to really start building up your trebuchet numbers. It will get to a point in the game where you'll be sitting there and you'll have 5 trebuchets, and you know, maybe there's a lot of your army that's died, but the trebuchets will remain, and you'll keep them because they're so long range, and you'll keep them nice and safe underneath the keep, and you're always going to be able to have them, and they're going to actually change their role. Once you start getting 5, 6 trebuchets, their role changes from trebs to long-range mangonels. Not only long-range mangonels, but also long-range culverin. These guys are able to take out enemy bombards. They're able to take out enemy siege. And of course, enemy troops if they were to group up too closely together with all of that extra damage and that shattering projectile. Now, of course, the final army that we have yet to talk about is going to be another new one that was added, and it is Wynguard Raiders. This produces an army of 3 horsemen and 3 knights for 650 food and 200 gold. Now, that's not a great discount on the amount of resources that you're spending, right? Like, it's pretty similar. But the difference here is that after you go Imperial, you have got the equivalent of 6 stables worth of units. In fact, this is even more than 6 stables worth. Let me show you what I'm talking about. If we take a look right now at your keep takes 22 seconds to create a horseman and 35 seconds to create a knight. I'm just going to pull out my calculator right now, and I'm going to go 35 times 3 plus, where's my plus over here? Plus, how long did it take for a horseman? So 66. 66. And it makes those in 20 seconds. So now I'm going to divide it by 20. This gives you 8.5 stables instantly. Instantly. 8.5 stables that provide discounted costs. So your knight normally costs 140 food and 100 gold. Your horseman normally costs 100 food, 20 wood. It's going to give you a discount it's 60 wood, 100 gold, and then on the food cost, what are we talking right here? 144, 20, so about a 70 food discount. So you're getting a discount overall of about, what, 300 resources? But the thing isn't that you're getting a discount on the resources. That's not what matters. What matters is that you can build up an army so big, so quickly, that your enemy is not ready for it. Let's say the game is young. The game is young. Let's just build some houses. Let's delete all these. The game is young, and you've been playing a classic style of English, which is spearmen and crossbows. You've been loving life. Spearmen, crossbows. It's doing really, really well. You've been going spearmen, crossbows, and you've been mixing in, you know what? You've been mixing in some mangonels as well. Okay, so like you think about it, all right? So we've got mangonels, crossbows, and spearmen. And this is like a super nice army. Let's get a couple more spears out there. Let's not be afraid. So this is a very strong army, right? Like, let's go through all the units. Your enemy makes spearmen. Do you beat them? Yes, because you've got spears and ranged units. Your enemy makes men-at-arms. Do you beat them? Yes. You've got crossbows, which counter them, and men-at-arms, which will frontline. Your enemy makes horsemen. Yep, counted. Knights. Yep, counted completely. Okay, what if your enemy makes crossbows? Yep, well, we've got crossbows, so they counter it, and spears, they don't do particularly badly against them either. Okay, great. So what do we have left? Well, we've got archers that could counter us potentially. Okay, well, here's a mangonel. That mangonel is going to counter the archers. And so now you can see this is the composition that will counter everything that you've got. But the problem that you've got is your enemy has decided instead what they're going to do is they're going to go for a very safe, I say safe with little quotations around it, safe composition. What are they going to go for? They're going to go for mass longbows because it's an English mirror, because on the ladder at the moment, all you get are English mirrors. So they've gone for mass longbow, and they're also going to be making some springalds. And the longbows are going to shut down both of your units, and they're going to be spreading them because they're a good player against your army. But the springalds are going to be dealing really well with your mangonels. So now you're in a bit of a jiffy, right? Because all of a sudden, your enemy's got the counter to your units. So you're going to fall back. You're going to move your longbows. You're going to move your crossbows. You're going to move your spearmen. You're going to bring your mangonels. Now, you might lose a mangonel. You might lose 2 mangonels. But you know what? You've just hit Imperial Age as well. You're making a bit of a mistake. You're pushing at the same time. And guess what? Now that you've hit Imperial Age with the Wynguard Palace, you can begin training Wynguard Raiders, which take 20 seconds to build. Now, obviously, I've got the cheats on at the moment, so everything is a little bit quicker. But these guys take 20 seconds to build. And by the time your enemy's pushed up on your base, guess what? You've got 18 units sitting there ready to go and completely destroy them. You're able to switch like that. Like the click of a finger, you're able to switch. And that's where the power of this army comes in. In my opinion, I think the best army is definitely going to be the Wynguard Army. This is still an S tier army, in my opinion. When it comes to the A tier, I'm going to be giving that to Wynguard Raiders. When it comes to the D tier, even the F tier, I'm going to give that to the Rangers. I think these guys are terrible. I like their style. I like their extra big bows. But let's be honest, they're not super duper cool. I mean, they're cool from, like, if you can get to this stage where you're massing up Wynguard Rangers, like, sure, okay, but these guys take a long time to make. Like, if we take a look here, these guys take a minute to make. You're getting 6 Wynguard Rangers every minute. 10 minutes goes by, you get 60 of them. 10 minutes. You know what I can do in 10 minutes? I'm not going to tell you because it's, well, yeah. Anyway, don't worry, I need a lot less time than that. Sorry, I shouldn't have. Anyway, that's the humor in Australia, guys. Calm down. That's Australian humor. It's self-deprecating. That's what we do. Anyway, so then the next option is going to be for your men-at-arms. Let's get that inner jiffy back on. I'm going to delete a couple of these units. And the men-at-arms, I think are... Oh, my lord, look at them go. 84 of the strongest men-at-arms. So I think these guys are actually in a pretty good spot. If you're in the late game and maybe you're already sitting on 4 trebs, you don't really need any more trebs, or, you know, you don't want to switch into... Like we're talking post-Imperial, you haven't just hit Imperial, you've got all your upgrades through. I think Wynguard Footmen are going to be legit, right? The main thing is that they do cost 500 gold. This is expensive, especially for an English player. In the late game, your base is just going to be like... Your base is just going to be like this, right? Like in the late game, you're just going to have so many farms in your base. You're not going to know what to do with all the food. Gold is not going to be something that's easy to come by. Obviously, you do have enclosures, but still, you're going to be wanting to spend your gold on units. And obviously, these are expensive units. 100 gold for each one of these. Well, not 100 gold, but what is it? Almost, what, 83 gold for each one of these guys? It's pretty expensive. So I think that even though they're a cool unit and a cool concept, if I was the developers looking to rebalance this and make these two a bit more viable, I would be saying, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to make Wynguard Footmen 600 food and 100 gold. Just something like that, or 500 food, 100 gold. Wynguard Rangers, 500 food, 100 wood. And then, you know, Wynguard Raiders can stay the same, and Wynguard Army can stay the same. But it's mainly the cost that's associated with these that really concerns me. Not to mention the Wynguard Raider, or Ranger rather, just not being a particularly strong unit. I don't know how you'd change that. Maybe you'd... I think what might be better is to give a larger batch of these guys. Maybe if it produced an army of 10 Wynguard Rangers, then maybe I could get behind that. But 6 just seems a little bit underwhelming. So anyway, that's my TED Talk. Thank you for coming. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope that gives or sheds a little bit of light on the balance with these new units and new armies for the English. And of course, we'll catch you in the next one. Thank you very much for watching.